I've already gone around and stripped the majority of the forms, but don't worry, I left one section for you guys. All the screws that we put in the stakes, they're still good. They're good for another, it's not a one-time use screw, so we're gonna go ahead and recollect those again. We let this concrete sit for 2 days because we're coming up on the winter time and we wanted it to be able to cure. If your forms get really sticky, what you can do is you can take your hammer and you can tap them first. That'll just help free it up. If you're going to use a hammer and it's the day after and it's still pretty green, just be very careful not to catch the side of that concrete. I just have a spare trash can that I'm using to throw all the stakes in. It's a great way just to store them, a great way to bring them from job to job. Now, if you have some break, which you may, not a big deal. You just take the piece that's broken, throw it in the trash while leaving the other piece in the ground. It's not gonna hurt anything. If you had some really stubborn stakes, because you're pounding them in really wet clay soil, put some channel locks on that stake, pull it right out of the ground. All right, there's one more step that's done. Before we get carried away with backfilling, we want to pick up any loose, big chunks of concrete. Okay, now it's time to make it all beautiful. So that way we can finish this, backfill against the mow strip, and get the fence built. We left about 4 piles on site, one at the beginning, one at the corner, one at the other corner, and one at the other end. Just store it relatively close to where you can put it right back in to fill all those cavities back in. Okay, so by now I know what you guys are thinking. Control joints. What is a control joint? A control joint is where you're controlling the concrete, where you want it to crack. Think of walking down the sidewalk. You're walking down the sidewalk and you're running a skateboard and you keep on hitting those dips in the sidewalk. Those are control joints. That's where you want the sidewalk to crack. We typically don't do control joints. You can. What we would do if we were to do a control joint is we would take a concrete saw. You could also take a 4.5-inch corded grinder with a masonry blade and you could cut your concrete that way. All you want to do is you would just want to go deep enough to the point where, I'm going to say about a 1/2 inch deep, to the point if the concrete were to crack, you would cause it to crack there. But we have a post here and a post here, pretty much pylons, because those are going in the ground at least 32 inches deep because that was our minimum depth. And everything is connected here, so we're not gonna do a control joint. See, it's just not gonna crack. One more step and then we can finally get to building the fence. I have a plastic razor blade and a razor blade holder for the plastic razor blade. What are we gonna use this for? I got some shaving cream. Just kidding. We are gonna use this to clean the concrete off of our posts here. Why do you not wanna use an actual razor blade? Because you're gonna scratch the Jiminy Crickets out of that post. So we're gonna go with plastic and it's just gonna knock all that off with a little bit of loving care. If you can do it right after you pour, like we didn't, probably better. Remember, concrete gets hard. It hardens, it's like a rock. Take care of it when it's wet. All right, so this is the minute that you've all been waiting for. We're going to start assembling the fence. What we're gonna do is we have all of our rails that SWI shop routed for us. We have a router that does that for us. It's a 2-bay router, and the thing is pretty dang cool. We're gonna go ahead and notch our bottom rail, we're gonna notch our middle rail, and we're gonna notch our top rail, and we're also gonna use a rail tie. We're gonna go ahead and take our vinyl rail notchers, and we're gonna have it so that the crimp part is facing up. We're gonna insert it, not all the way, but we're gonna leave that little bit of a gap there. And that's gonna create a notch. That's gonna hold inside the post and keep the rail from coming out on the bottom side. You put one side in and you put the other side in. So because those tabs, it's not just gonna come out by itself. We're gonna do the exact same thing to the middle rail. Again, same concept as the bottom. What we're really worried about is what I'm fighting right now, the wind. You wouldn't think it would do it, but yes, it does. If we don't notch these, it can pop the rails out and then poof, your sections of vinyl are all over your neighbor's yard. I've seen people do it this way too. You can put one notch there and one notch at the opposite corner on that side. Sometimes because your center might suck in just a little bit and not grab as hard. Hey, you know, I'm almost noticing something. So this is our bottom rail. It's a 2x6 rail, and the reason that it's our bottom rail is because it has these what we call ribs. So these ribs help to make this rail more rigid, more stout. If these ribs weren't here, you would then have what we call a banana rail. Natural weight of the product sitting inside the bottom rail is going to cause it to have a bow in it because the natural weight and sun hitting it, warming it, you know, all those kind of things. That's not going to happen to this because we have a beefier bottom rail. I would say that we got a better result going up there by the corners. As far as inserting your rail, there is a pattern. You need to go into the hollow, the empty post first. See how there's not a rail on this side? You need all 5 inches of that post to shove that rail in, move it over to this, and then shove it back into that post. If you're going to carry a great product, such as your vinyl, you also want to maintain your vinyl. I had to come over here and get some pickets, and I felt that it was necessary just to show you guys how we care for our vinyl. We'll wrap it up with shrink wrap to keep everything in contact, but we also love moving blankets. We will wrap our vinyl up in moving blankets so that way in transportation and transit, the vinyl is 100% cared for and it's not going to scratch or get damaged. Because there's nothing fun about destroying product that you have to throw away that was perfectly good right before you left the shop. And these are our pickets. The rails are going to hold our pickets in place. And this is what's going to make the fence. It's what's going to make the wall. We're going to get it right. Watch carefully. It's getting tricky. Right there. That's how you do it. It's that easy. I mean, it's that hard. So now that we have all the pickets in and the beautiful fence, it's time to put the top rail on. I'm going to pull the first picket apart from the side, and with the other hand that's not doing anything, insert that first picket. Now I'm going to insert the second picket while pushing the rail down. Insert the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth. Now I can get it into the hole of the post. And now I'm going to go back here and continue putting pickets in. But now I got a problem. The problem is the rail is on top of the post. Oh my gosh, what do I do now? You push the post over like so and keep putting the pickets in. And ta-da! It's like it's that easy. You gotta flex the vinyl just a little bit, but No reason to be scared because it's not going to break on you. This is quality vinyl right here. This is a great product. The vinyl has gotten a really bad name for itself. It's not because of the products that we carry, it's because of the other products other people carry. If you want to compare our vinyl to the big box store vinyl, you should then go ahead and compare a DeWalt tool to a Harbor Freight tool. You're still getting the same tool, but one's not going to last as long as the other one. It's the exact same thing with the vinyl. The quality is not there in other products as you see in ours. It's a national vinyl product, so NVP comes out of Utah. It's just amazing. We have not had one blow over, fail, or anything. Now that we have our section done, we're going to go ahead and install our rail tie. What this is it locks the rails in place. One of the nice things about the rail tie in this particular fence, you're not going to be able to see these rails move. So you see how right now you can make it look crooked. We're going to set it so the gap is the same up and down. Whee! You're going to put it in there. You're going to take one screw. You're going to take the other screw, screw it into this rail. Now it can't move. Rail locks. That's a huge gray area. Yes, you could just use a screw instead of a rail lock, but there's a downfall. If you use just a screw, that's your surface area that's going to keep your rail in. That little bit of surface area, that could break through the post and break out the top of that, wherever that's screwed into the rail. If you screw this into your rail, this now becomes your entire surface area. So you have 4 3/4 of an inch basically to keep that rail in place. The whole post would have to fail in order for the rail lock to fail. The screw only keeps the post from moving one direction. The post now can't move that way, but it can move that way. A rail lock, the post can't move either direction. So a rail lock really keeps that post locked into place if it has any flex whatsoever. It's that time to actually hang our gate now. First, we're going to mark out our hinges. I like to go and put my first hinge at 2 inches. I want my bottom hinge somewhere around my bottom rail. I'm going to go at 62. This gate is racked. What I mean by that is this gate is not perfectly square. There's an 1.5 inch slope from this post to this post. So this being the low post, because you always hang your gate on what? The low side, and it latches on the high side. If you do that exactly the opposite, your gate's not going to open. As the gate opens, it's going to gain in height. And here we have our gate. And we can see that we have it racked to the right side. We're going to make the same measurements, 2 inches, just in case. If we wanted to double check ourselves, we would go ahead and put the gate in position. All of our gate hardware comes in white and black for vinyl fence. So you can get white hinges, you can get black hinges. Everything is stainless steel, so that way nothing will rust and leave rust streaks going down your post. So I'm just going to get one started there, so that way I can set my bottom. Everything gets a washer and everything gets an acorn nut. So we're going to go ahead and set our ideal gap. The gap between hinge post and gate and latch post and gate. For right now I'm eyeballing it. So I have my top set so it can't move, and I just have one nut set. I'm going to try to mimic this gap at my bottom hinge. I've got about 1 1/8 inches, and I've got 1 1/8 inches. So my gaps are the same, my reveal looks good, my rail looks continuous, which is exactly what we want. So now we're going to go ahead and tighten our acorn nuts down. So there's snug. I'm just gonna go a little bit past. The latch is gonna get mounted to the latch post, and the striker is gonna get mounted to the gate. I like going to 32 inches. Before I continue on to the latch, do you remember how I was talking about hanging on the low post? Once this gate comes all the way open, it should be higher than that fence. Let's see if that's right. See that? See how the top rail is now higher than the fence rail? It's because we hung the gate correctly. Always, always, always hang off of the low side. So the gate is gonna swing into the yard. So if you're on the outside of the yard, you would push the gate and you would open it into the yard. The reason that gate is gonna open into the yard is the particular customer has a dog and the latch has a button, and we don't want the dog to potentially hit the button and open the gate. So if the dog was to jump on the gate, the dog is just gonna close the gate. Now we're gonna put up our latch, and what are we gonna use for a latch but a Keystone latch series? Goes in series with our hinge hardware. You're gonna line up this template on your mark where it has a little arrow. Then you're gonna come to this face. I marked for the center of my latch to go at 32 inches. We pulled that measurement from the top of the post. There's one. Oh, there's the other one. By pushing that button, it engages that rod. It's the unlocker mechanism. I'm sure there's a name for that. Now it's time to keep this thing from flopping in the wind. I'm right in the center of my catch there. My gate catch. Maybe that's what that's called, the gate catch. You really think we're gonna call it quits there? Absolutely not. This handle, it's kind of like the bee's knees. It's awesome. A slam handle or a handle with a bumper. It's always a great idea to put it on when the gate is in the closed position, because if you were to put it right above that striker, you're not gonna be able to close your gate because that slam handle is gonna try to come in contact with the latch system now. If somebody can put something like this on their product, 1 million cycle warranty, that means that that product is a really good product. These latching systems are amazing. You can unlock and lock from either side of the gate. You don't have to be on the inside or the outside. Oh, hold on just 1 second. Let me go let you in from the inside because it's locked there. You can do that from either side. We're just putting the spring in a bind so that way it'll close the gate. Now I like it when the gate comes to a gentle close and not a really hard slamming close. Like so. Now it's time to glue the caps on, which is the final step of this whole fence process. It's been huge. Probably the hardest part of the whole entire job right here. Really, Dan? Like a dollop of daisy, you know, just a little size of a pea. That's plenty, and we just do 2 sides. So we're gonna put it up there and tap, tap, tap into place. For the big cap, still the same. There you have it. Now that everything is done, we have showed you guys every step of this entire job and how to combine a concrete mill curb with a vinyl fence. We just wanted to keep you guys informed of how it's done and how it's done right. Thanks for hanging out with us. Dan with SWI, and you have a good dang day.